Well, uh, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to start like yesterday. It was a snowy morning in Switzerland where I met. No. When did I meet? I really don't remember. It seems, with Hamdi, it seems ages. I know you. And the INC community, I think most of you will remember him in 2015 in Antalya, where he gave us some insights. And since then, a lot of stuff happened. Chobani was always a different kind of company, different kind of species, like its founder, Hamdi Ulukaya. He launched Chobani in 2007. Mission, or better vision, was making better food more accessible. But in less than 5 years, Chobani became the #1 selling in the US Greek yogurt with more than $1 billion in annual sales. Right now, I heard it's already 2, right? Okay. Helping people and having a positive impact on communities was and is always a priority of Hamdi. In addition to donating a portion of its profits to charity, Chobani has very innovative profit-sharing and paid parental leave programs. A devoted philanthropist, Hamdi signed the Giving Pledge and founded the 10 Partnership for Refugees to ease the global refugee crisis. In this session, he will describe why doing good by your employees and your community is also better for business. And just recently, he was giving the Business Peace Award in Oslo. I think it was a week or 10 days ago. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you Hamdi Ulukaya from Chobani. Yes. Aslan, hoş geldin. Okay, Hamdi, let's start. I think we have enough time. I personally know your story. You're growing up in Eastern Turkey, journey to the US, the advice of your dad to start a feta cheese company in New York, and the famous junk mail you received one day, and you read it about, the old yogurt factory on sale. Why don't you tell us all about it? The Chobani story in a nutshell. I mean, what was the power behind this? Was it deli cesareti, as we say in Turkey, which means a madman's courage? Or what gave you the courage?
Good to see you, Abi. I call him Abi because it means in Turkish older brother. It means a lot. And I also don't remember when I met you first time, but because of you, I follow this Congress wherever it goes. It was in Antalya, now I'm here. So one thing that I realized, you only picked good places. So this is cool. Every time I meet Junaid Abi, I learn something new. But I have not seen him this good, so I just need to learn how he maintained that busy lifestyle, traveling all around the world, getting involved in so many different things, and still look like this. Because this 10 years of my life, if you look at 10 years ago, my picture, and if you look at now, I aged 3 times more. So I have to learn that part. The second one...
Eat more nuts.
Eat more nuts. I eat a lot of nuts. I am really proud of Gülşen. I know her because of you, of course, but I never knew this leadership side of her. And when we met in our office in New York months and months and months ago, and she said, would you please come as a guest speaker to our Congress? And I didn't know in what degree she was involved, and later on I learned, of course. I must say that sometimes you meet people in life, and you sometimes pay attention, and you sometimes don't, because life is fast. I always had this ability, I think it comes from my father, I always see through people. I could see what their abilities and what their abilities are not, and I know you're the same. The way that she surprised and shocked me, that brings another dimension to Gulshan, which is, I am as human, but when it comes to business, when it comes to work, I rock. And we do need leaders like Gulshan in our life, in our organizations. And especially when it comes to women leaders, it becomes more important. So I have to say this because I am very, very proud, and I am very proud to know you. I'm very proud of your friendship. And I must say, what he has always told me about you, again, it's true.
Hamdi, an open secret. She's the only person in life after my mom I'm afraid of. Okay, let's
so
go
that's
to
come
you.
true.
All right.
So coming to Chobani's story, I just recently did a TED Talk, and it just came out, I think 24 hours ago. And it's called Anti-CEO. Growing up, I have never thought in my life one day I would be involved in business. There are two reasons. One, it was too far away from us. We were nomads. We were making cheese and yogurt in the eastern part of Turkey. And we were very distant from trade. We were very distant from business. The second one, growing up, I never liked business people. I never liked what they represented. I never liked how they looked down on people. I didn't like how they, did not play their role in society. So if anything, I was against the business. I was against the capitalistic system. I was against all that kind of stuff. So before I came to New York, I never thought I would be in the field of business. As you said, I get in because of my father said there's not good cheese in the marketplace. You should make some cheese. First I laughed, then I did it. That I summarized in that talk, the minute I saw that ad, it was curiosity that I needed to go see that factory. When I saw factory, it reminded me my childhood, that these 55 people working so hard to close this factory, somebody made this decision far away to close this factory. But nobody saw these people. Nobody saw what this work, this factory meant for these people, for this community. My immediate feeling was anger. I got very angry. It was very similar anger towards the business, towards the CEOs. And I had this unstoppable thought from my gut that I could do something with this. And the first thing I did when I bought the factory, it was very cheap. It was $700,000. One tank will cost more than that. That summer, we really, 4 factory workers and myself, we started painting the walls because I thought we could do something. 10 years later, I look back, or 5 years later, I look back, and I said, I never went to business school. I never read business books. I never had business network. I never knew anyone from the business. I never had any people worked in the company who had done this before. And I live in a very small town in upstate New York, so we are distanced from everything else. And the first 5 plus 2 years, I never left the factory. So every decision I had to make it by myself with the factory workers and little community there. So literally, whatever we did, we came up with ourselves. I had one rule: how do I not become the person growing up hating? So how do I go to sleep every day that say, I did not become that guy, I did not become that person, I did not act it the way that, businesses or CEOs acted when growing up. And every single thing that I have done, it had always connected to me home. I always connected to where I was from. I always, from the memories, from the learnings, from my father's acts, from my mother's acts, and all that kind of stuff. So in the end, my solution is, I am not a crazy guy who takes risk. I don't jump from the mountains or from the plains. I'm probably the most, non-crazy kid growing up. I did not do. But one thing that I have always done, I always wondered, and I always left. And I think that comes from my nomadic lifestyle too. I left home when I was 11, and I always listened my gut feeling. I always said, I don't know why, but I feel this way, so I need to go this way. And combination of all these journeys, learnings from the families, the town in upstate New York, the people, the farmer, and luck, and we say mother's prayer, I am where I am. Yeah.
Okay, gut feeling. Oh, I don't know what would happen if we would only, every one of us would only look to the guts, but I understand you had a good gut. Listen, do you want to talk a little bit more of your TED talk, which came out even yesterday, I think, right?
Yeah. It's about my 46 years of belief in 17 minutes. And I try to tell a story, but my main crying, my main ask is, I love the field of business. I love the field of CEOs. I love the impact of businesses can do. But for God's sake, let's change our perspective from the profit and shareholder center to humanity and community and people center. Doesn't mean we leave what we make profit or we innovate or we compete or we do all that kind of stuff, because we must. But if we can't change the perspective, those things comes naturally. And I look at the world, I look at the people, I look at the communities, I look at all the issues that we deal with. I do not see anything as powerful as business if we start acting in the right way. So that's why I called it Anti-CEO Playbook, from my experience. And I tie it into all the actions and works that we've done at Chobani in the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years. That is the main theme. I am not against businesses. I am not against the CEOs. But I think it's time, and I know many of the people in this room, because they are connected to communities and farms and people in a very direct way, they see it. We must either change or force to change the CEOs and businesses act in the community in the world today.
Wow. And I think you also said before, when you were a little younger, you didn't think much of CEOs, right?
No.
And business leaders. Why is that? And what do you think today?
I give you one example, Abi. When I started this factory back, like that factory was 85 years old. It's been in that community forever. People, their grandfather, their family members worked there. That was the source for bread for the table. When they closed that factory, I remember that feeling when you pass through the cemetery, you have this sadness, this loss. I felt like the community was feeling that. That was the environment. The people who were closing the factory, they were doing their best to close it in a most professional way. I've never seen anything like that before. They were not angry. They were not throwing things around. They were doing their last job with absolute professionalism, with grace. And I'd ask, if I open this factory back up, what would they do? If somebody is closing this factory this beautifully, what would they do if you opened them? We opened it back up, I saw that community dramatically change. Now, of course, people come to work, there's already a good energy. But how do we build it back that is different than the one who closed it? Hiring, recognizing people, opening borders of the factory to the community. The first thing that we did is we built a baseball field for our kids. My first community work at Chobani was building a little league baseball field. Now, I'm a football guy. I don't know about baseball. Frankly, I don't even think it's a game. But that's not the point. I loved what baseball meant for that community. And we were not too far from the Cooperstown. And I said, let's build one of the best baseball fields for our kids. And people said, they only have a grass. They don't even have lines in the grass. If we put the lines and make it nice, it will be enough. I said, no. Let's build the one like in Cooperstown, with the lights, with the bench, barbecue for the family, scoreboards with the lights. They can play at night, they can play at day. This is the first thing that we've done. And they said, why are we doing this? I said, I just want to tell our kids, you are as good, you are as important, you are as valuable. And I thought they were. I believed in there. And in my life, first time anyone asked my autography was those kids. I never forget. They asked me to sign the baseball forma. And I throw the first pitch, and I love baseball now. The reason I did that is I wanted the community to believe they're worth it. The act of the previous people who closed the factory, they did not see them. They did not see their integrity. They did not see their hard work. They did not see their culture. They did not see their tradition. And they did not see their human spirit. And I wanted to make sure that they understand. And I wanted to start it from the kids first, the young kids first. I saw all these communities start energized and coming back up. And then we expanded and said, who else can we hire? Who else can we bring into this environment? And I heard in Utica, there are refugees from different areas, legally settled, but they can't find jobs. Whether they don't have language, they don't speak English, or they don't have cars to go, or they have not trained for the food manufacturing. These are easy things to fix. And we start bringing them. And I saw their life change. Because the minute they get the job, that's the minute they start being a refugee. That's the minute they start being part of the community. I saw the locals and all these people from 19 different nationalities, 16 different languages, become friends in family days, or they become personal friends. Not we are giving something to them, not we are giving them handout. They just got a job. By just having a job, they start being part of the community. By being part of the community, they start contributing to the community. And their families, their family members, they start going to schools, and they start doing all the normal things that families do. And when the Syrian conflict started, when the refugee topics became really, really big, I went to Geneva and met with the UNHCR and IRC and all those people, and I realized the people who are involved in one of the most dramatic human crises that we're facing today are handled by NGOs and government NGOs and private NGOs only. There is no business community involved with this. So I thought maybe it's time for businesses to get involved with this humanitarian topic of refugees. And I started 10th Partnership, and that's why I met you in Davos first time. I started with 4 companies, with LinkedIn, MasterCard, UPS, and Airbnb. And we started 10th Partnership for Refugees to bring business community to help refugees wherever they are in the world. And I saw how CEOs and businesses start meeting in this safe platform of 10th and start working on this topic. Today we have 130 companies. We just made a trip to Malaysia, and I realized how powerful this becomes. We can get an audience, we can ask, or we can force people to do their change the way that they're doing in their communities. The the power of business, the power of CEOs, in wherever that you are touching, either environment, gun violence, you know, refugees, income inequality. I mean, there is not many that they cannot touch. But the minute we really mean it, it's in our DNA. It's not check the box, or it's not, CRR, what is it, corporate social responsibility. But we really mean it. You start seeing the magic start happening.
Hamdi, you started with a few people. You're now over thousands.
Yes.
And I think, is it true that nearly 30% are refugees of
Yes.
your workforce?
Yes.
Now, my question is, okay, in the former times, you were on top of your business, you were there all the time, and this makes the difference, as we all know here. But now, you just said, I was in Malaysia, I was in Davos, I was in... So you have to travel around, and also you built the largest yogurt manufacturer in the world in Idaho. So you cannot be on top of your business daily. Is it still going okay, especially the local workforce and the immigrants? How do they get along?
Really well, really well. I gotta tell you, yes, it's a work, we have to, but you trust on your people, because the minute you create this environment, and that's why I tell people, culture is extremely important on history of companies. You can build sales, it's very easy. Making $100 million sales, $200 million sales, $500 million sales, it's easy. But how do you build culture? The culture means every second matter, every minute matter, every day matter, every week matter, every hour matter, because that means you're responding, and all that response and acts creates the personality of the company. And then tomorrow, within that personality, the company will act in a good day and a bad day. And building companies is very hard. Building sales is not that hard. You just come up with some idea, you push, you increase sales, and all that kind of stuff. So today, the first 5 years, it was all on my shoulder. Today, I have 2,000 people as passionate as I am, come to Chobani's every single day, believe in the mission, believe in what we do, and love what they do, and do exactly what I do in a different forms. So my work is not a lot more than 5 years ago, it's a lot less, but I deal with different things. When it comes to business, people think that I don't get involved on innovation, on marketing, on product development, on all that kind of stuff that every one of us involved. I love that shit. I really do. I am a very competitive person. I love creating things. I'm very, very micro-focused on details.
I know.
I'm just this morning on our way here, I respond to a text of our innovation center in Idaho, certain design concept of it. I love this field. I really do. So people think that bringing this consciousness of society and humanity and environment adds more work to your shoulder. It doesn't. It just brings more joy. It just brings purpose. It just brings another dimension that you and your company becomes more powerful, deeper, more effective, more connected with people. It just brings all that kind of stuff. I think that baseball field and that signature of the people, when you get hooked, and when you understand that there is more into this than sales and money and profit, and that comes anyway, and when you bring that depthness into it, it becomes extremely, extremely joyful environment, and that's why I love it a lot. And I'm not saying something new. It's a lot of people, including you, your family, you're involved with this. It's a combination of learning. I learn from you, I share, I get from others. The most important thing is we don't duplicate the things. We just learn from each other, and we move forward instead of each of us does different things.
Well, tell us a bit more about there is a Chobani incubator system.
Yeah.
What inspired you, and what is this program about?
So that one is, I have it actually 3 places. I have it in US incubator class, I have a Turkish incubator class, and I have an Australian incubator class. This whole thing started that when I wake up, but realize what we've done, I have gone through so much pain, and I have made some mistakes. I asked myself, if I go back to 2007, what are the things I wish I would have known? What are the things that a friend like you have told me? Hey, pay attention to this. This is extremely important in this journey. Hey, watch these people. It's extremely important how you deal with these people. Hey, make sure on your 2nd year or 3rd year, or depends on what your sale is, you really strengthen this side of your organization because you're going to need it. What are the things that I wish I had known? So I started this incubator to tell food entrepreneurs and the startups to share with them our experience and tell them the things that I wish I had known before I started my journey. And it became really one of the top sought after food incubator. We give them seed money, $25,000 to $50,000. We give them access to our offices and factories and sales force and marketers and everyone. They stay with us for 4 months. We only pick 7 to 10 companies, the ones that we believe that they have the right mission, they have the founders that we really think they can go, they can run this company to next place. And we also pick companies that have potential to disrupt the food section to bring better option for more people, to bring a natural, good food to more people. And also we pick companies who has that depthness of making society better by making good food. They stay with us for 4 months. We take them to our customers. Everybody at Chobani gets involved, including myself. Branding, sales. We don't tell them what to do. We share them what we have done. And then they move on. They become friends. We never take any stake from them. This is just passing on the information. We do exactly the same thing. Thank you. We do the same thing with the Turkish incubator. But in Turkey, I do it a little bit different. We go to 27 regions of Turkey, and we try to find yous and me's and Gülşen's. We're trying to find the people that they're not only in Istanbul or only in certain universities. We go to the villages and towns, and we don't look for university diplomas or any type of stuff. We look at people who has this, this strike, and they want to do this. And we get 6 companies from Turkey, startups, and we get 24 they're entrepreneurs, but they haven't started yet. I don't know what we call it. And we bring 30 people from Turkey with NYU, and program starts in Istanbul, different type of Turkey we go to, and then when we come to New York, they are between NYU and Chobani. And this is actually next week they're coming in, this next class. This is our 3rd class. In Australia is the same exact what we do in Chobani in New York. I love entrepreneurship. I value entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is extremely important in every society because that's when the innovation comes. That's where the new blood comes in. That's where the changes come. That's where the young people get involved. That's where the job gets created. That's where the things change in a positive way and you get new options. And I am an entrepreneur before I am anything else. So these are for me, is Chobani, and then entrepreneurs, and then refugees. These are the things that I get involved.
Yeah, just a few things, right?
Yeah.
So before, when I was introducing you, I said something about you signed the Given Pledge. And I'm not sure whether everybody understands or knows what is a given pledge. Can you tell me about it?
Sure. This Given Pledge is Bill Gates and Melinda Gates and Warren Buffett initiative that they started and asking publicly known billionaires to publicly announce that majority of their wealth will go to the causes that they're passionate about. And when Bill Gates called me, I said, look, I don't know if I am a billionaire. They tell me they are, but I don't have it in my pocket. But I am new to money. I am new to wealth. I understand the value of it. But I'm not going to poison myself and my family with it either. And it's an extremely important tool that it goes back to society, not as a gift, but that's what it is, really. That's what I don't see it any different ways. You use money to build factories, you use money to buy a home for yourself, for your family, and make a better life for your family, and then the rest is a good tool to make society better, in my opinion. And that's the combination of people that they do. And actually, the next meeting is next week. I'm coming back to Florida for it. The minute I got involved with refugees, that's when I committed that majority of my wealth, and if not all, will go to this cause. And there are a lot of people in that group that they publicly announced.
So, thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
And I read or heard something also about that you gave your first employees shares from your company?
Yeah, we announced that a few years ago. We have all our Chobani employees, and this was one of the hardest things to do, is how do you make all your company members partner of a private company is very, very difficult legally in the country, in this year. It's really weird. Because if you have more than 500 people as your partners in the company, you have to disclose your financials like you're a public company.
Yeah.
So I had to hire lawyers, and I had to hire people and spend a lot of money to be able to figure this thing out. How do you stay private, and how do you make all your employees to be partner in your company? But we found a way to do it, and it still needs to be reflected. But the idea is 10% of our company is financial stake is divided between everyone in the company. Now, I truly believe in this model. I really do, because I saw everyone who built Chobani with me in factories, in sales, in marketing, in all of the places. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. They work as hard as I did. And they didn't work just because it's a job. They worked as passionate as I did. So it was a recognition of everyone as participated in this success as everybody else. I think going forward, people who work in the companies, people who contribute in the companies, people who've been there for a long time, or people just who's joining in, outside of salaries and bonuses and all that stuff gets, their future, their retirement should tie into the companies as well. And you could do it in so many different forms. You could say it in a partner. You could say it in, profit sharing. There are so many different examples. But again, another topic that business can play a role to make its own employees and its communities health better, income better, and their children and their families' future, at least at some level. Nothing is 100% in business. At some level, tie into the success of the company, success of the enterprise. Now, these are not too far from all the businesses that we had seen 50, 60, 70 years ago. These were the businesses were part of communities. And along the way, 40 years ago, something changed, which is that the pure purpose of business is profit, or the pure purpose of business is to increase income or profit for shareholder. When you do that, then you close factories. You pay your workers less. You don't care about your environment too much. Because if that's your pure purpose, is to increase profit for your shareholder, everything is open. But if you say stakeholders, which in some European countries, that's the rule, then it's a whole different story. Who are the stakeholders? Shareholders, community, employees, they are all stakeholders. So before you make a decision, they all need to be okay with this. So you don't close factory as fast as before. Or even if you change, profit shareholder in long term, again, you have to care about healthiness of your employees, healthiness of your community, healthiness of your products that you serve to your consumers. All of that stuff comes into the play. Now, you and I, we talk about this a lot. And I know you care. I know Beyza Hanım, your wife, cares about this a lot. Look, we are all farmers, or somehow we are connected to farmers. I am a farmer before I am anything else because I grew up in a farm. And I worked in a farm in upstate New York for a year and a half. I milked 60 cows, did everything that you need to do in farm before I went to school to learn English, every morning and every evening. And for the last 7 and 8 years before I became the CEO, I was a factory worker. I did everything in the factory. I know everything about factory. And today, I still see myself a factory worker before anything else. That's where I am most comfortable. What we do in our farms, what we do on our factory floor, people don't see when they purchase a cup of yogurt, or a bag of almond, or a spread of hazelnut, or dried apple, or all the products. But this is where we are going, and we've been going that direction in the long term, which I think is a healthy way that we are going. What's happening in our farm matters the person who buy that product. The healthiness of emotions, not only physical, emotions being of those people who are harvesting all those fruits and vegetables, or nuts, or making the yogurt, is going to matter. It matters already. It's going to matter more in the people who is purchasing that. You think that people worry about if is it organic, is it without preservative, or is it non-GMO, or is it all that kind of stuff? Yes. But I have to make a bet today, the emotional healthiness of the product coming into marketplace is more important than ingredient healthiness of that product, which they are tied to each other. Do you have kids working in your farm? Do you pay enough? Do those farmers have a good housing that they're living and sleeping, and they are having smiles? Do they listen to songs? Are they happy? We, as a connected citizens, we care about those things more than anything else. And if I look at this group, it's the most powerful group in this room. And I cannot go without saying it. We all have probably more touching points on individual people than any other industry out there. Any other industry, right? Because Beyza Hanım goes into northern region of Turkey, and she sees that workers who come for seasonally from the other part of the country, and their kids that come with it. And if you're going to take advantage of that family, you're going to say that the 10-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old collect hazelnut. Or you're going to say, I'm going to build a school here. While their parents are working in the farm, the kids are going to go to school and play and learn. They're going to laugh. They're going to smile. They're just going to be a kid. When I collect that product at home, I have two pictures in my head. Is it human suffering or a human joy? And based on that energy, I'm going to enjoy that cup of yogurt or that cup of hazelnut or not. Or I'm going to enjoy that almond or not. Because that emotional healthiness of each product is more powerful than the ingredient side of it. And the world is going that way. We're going to go that way. Of course, the price, being able to meet the market price and all that, these are dynamics. I understand it. But whoever start working on the human conditions of the product that we produce in our farms, in our factories, in our communities, and making sure that that is number one, I'm not going to take 1 inch away from it. And I'm going to make sure that every product that comes from this place is human-proofed, human quality-proofed. It's number one on our duty. And that's what I try to do every single day. And I think that's what farmers and communities and people who are in the rural areas, sweat and tear, hard work, that's what we are connected with, human connections. When somebody's farm is ruined, somebody else comes. People say, where did you learn this from? And I'm a nomad, right? I go up in the mountains, and the number one thing I had was safety. Number two is, the physical safety. Number two was the emotional safety, economic safety. Why? We had one enemy. Our enemy was wolf. The wolf can attack your sheep at night. And if they attack, they will take all your sheep. And that's what your life is all depend on, is these animals. So every morning when we were waiting for the shepherds to bring the sheep back, we have this nervous wait. Are they safe or not? That night, is any wolf attacked while the shepherd was sleeping? And some nights, some mornings, some shepherds come back with wounded animals or lost animals. But this is what happens when that happens. Everybody brings one sheep. So if you lost 100 sheep, 100 people pick one of the best sheep from their farm, and they bring it to that person. So the next day, they have 100 sheep. When you have this kind of social safety, you'll be okay. There'll be a night that you're going to lose something, but the next day is going to be okay. But these fundamentals live in South Edmiston, New York, in Erzincan, Turkey, or in Karadeniz, Turkey, or in Brazil, or rural in Italy, or in Spain. Wherever you go, it exists. These are very fundamental human qualities. What we can do as farmers and makers and factory workers and all that kind of stuff, to take these fundamentals, implement in our businesses, and communicate to the broader community, and make sure that everyone understands that as long as we are in touch with the human spirit, that's how we can go forward in humanity.
Thank you, MD. Listen, I told everybody he's a different kind of species. I think we understand a little now where this gentleman gets his energy from. This gentleman is a Kurdish origin Turk, selling Greek yogurt in America to Jewish people, right?
First, so I said, actually this is a line, I said, I'm a Kurd from Turkey who makes Greek yogurt, sold his first cup of yogurt to a Jewish store in Long Island, and now I'm here in Florida,
Yes.
with people from all over the world. This only happens in America. That's the magic of this country.
Yeah. And last not least, Andy, I think this audience needs innovative entrepreneurs who are after healthy and tasty products. And by the way, he made a definition of healthy. He put, I wrote it down here somewhere. You said emotional health. Also, emotional healthy products. But this audience here, we are the ones who can bring that.
Absolutely.
Because they are from dried fruits to nuts. They are exactly who could bring in health, quality, taste, supply, what you need in your wonderful products. But about your products, of course, it wouldn't go nowhere if you wouldn't be successful in selling it. Can you give me just a few minutes only where you're going, where you're heading to?
Yeah, it's fascinating what's going on not only in technology, but also in food. And consumer changes, behavior changes in food. It's really fascinating. And then it's also fascinating that this play area is open to more people. It's not about dominant of few large companies anymore. So, and the hunger for innovation is extremely, extremely fascinating. It's very important that I always say, yes, food innovation comes from left and right and a lot of trends, a lot of this and that. But when it comes to food, there are fundamentals that human species has been consuming or has been part of our humanity for a long, long time. You know, that's why nuts and yogurts and fruits and vegetables and, you know, you can grains and you can go on and on and on. But doesn't mean we cannot still innovate. Doesn't mean that branding is so cool. It's not. It just needs, like people said, well, you came and you made amazing things in yogurt. I didn't do amazing things in yogurt. I made exactly yogurt that I was grown up seeing it. Yeah. It's exactly the same thing. All I try to do is stay connected to what it was original recipe, what it was technically how it made. But I made it accessible and I made it cool for a lot of people. Making yogurt was a nice thing again, cool thing again. And this happened in a lot of places in nuts and fruits and foods again. But I think we have to be very innovative and very good marketer. And when I say marketer, I'm not talking about, you know, how do I, you know, trick someone. How do I communicate in this fast lifestyle importance of what I make and the relevance to who's purchasing it? Because we do need people to eat better food, especially here in America, and you see it a lot of other places around the world, is how food is delivered to especially rural and poorest communities, and the integrity of food when it comes to processing and all that kind of stuff, using the words like almonds and hazelnuts and all the other, you know, magical names, and how it's tricked is probably another horrible things that some of the large companies are doing. But it's extremely important that we bring this natural, wholesome, good food delivered in an accessible way to everyone, but yet still make it cool, still make it nice, still bring a smile to people, still, eating this wholesome food, something like, I would say, sexy, cool. And that's our job, and that's how we have to do it. Making it not enough. We have to make it relevant to everyone. And I see a lot of stuff is happening in the US especially, and hopefully my son loves yogurt. My son loves, growing, his little one, eating nuts and all that kind of stuff, instead of processed food, instead of, these unhealthy things. And that needs to go everywhere around the globe. I tell to some of my large CEOs, company CEOs, and I say, if obesity is going up in Mexico or some part of Africa, because now you can access there, and because you can bring this processed food to there, but before he was eating corn or almond or nuts from the gardens or whatever it is that it was available, and he was not obese. Now he's obese. Am I happy now? I'm not happy now. So accessibility and messaging around good food is extremely important, especially in poorer part of the country. And we food makers, we have to be master at that one, not only on making side, but also on the marketing and branding side of that.
Hamdi, thank you very much.
Thank you, Abid.
Thank you very much for these words.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here.
I think you made us all think a little bit more, and Allah bless you. The world needs more of you.
Thank you so much.